Ooh, welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Colton Little, and he played and possibly will be playing, maybe we'll find out, who knows, Andrew Donovan, and he was on Days of Our Lives, part of the legendary Donovan family. How you doing, Colton?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to have you on. I know I had Christopher Sean on my show before. And he's on my Facebook. We're really good friends. And I'm so glad that I was like, wait a minute. I wonder if I can reach out to Colton. And I looked on your Twitter and I saw, oh, I can actually send a message without him following me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do that.
I'm glad you slid into my DMs. I'm so happy to be here, and I love your episodes, and I love Christopher Sean. He's so awesome. He's like
Yeah,
he's
he's,
a
he's really great.
ball of light and energy. So
Absolutely. He's a great guy. So let's start with, I guess, everybody getting a background on to you. And how did you get your start into acting?
I've always kind of been in performing arts in some way. I grew up in Nebraska in like a town of 300 people. So I come from like not much. And my school would always have like one act plays, and we never really did musicals or anything, but I was into music and I started singing when I was like in second grade. And so music was kind of my first love until I was about 19. I had a rock band in college. We did like two albums together, and I wrote all the songs and everything. I loved performing, but then got a job with Disney in the parks. And so I was performing in parades and shows and doing meet and greets and things. I was friends with some of the characters, if people know what that means. And yeah, I got some really cool experiences with that. And like with that, I was able to be on shows like Kelly Ripa and Michael Strahan's show. I was on Good Morning America. I was on The View with Whoopi Goldberg. I was on the Oprah Winfrey Show. So like I got all these really cool opportunities to do sort of more improv style performance. And then went to Tokyo Disney. And when I saved up enough money there, I was like, I'm going to move to LA and make it work. So yeah, discovering my love for it as I went along.
That's awesome. Awesome. So, what was your audition like for Days?
Um, to be honest, it's funny. I had been in for Marnie, the casting director, like a handful of times before over the years. And I actually remember having like a really big crash and burn audition with
Right.
her, where for me it was a crash and burn. For her, I'm sure she was like, okay, this guy's just nervous. But um, yeah, that was years ago. And I remember I was like shaking so bad. I was holding the audition sides in my hand, and I was like shaking to the point where
Mhm.
you could probably see it on camera.
Nice.
And when I got the audition for Andrew Donovan, I was kind of at a place in my career in my life where like things just weren't really moving for me. I didn't have a lot of traction in my career, and I had been taking classes and just like working my butt off to try to just be the best actor I could. And I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to hire like a taping service. My buddy Louis Chapman has a great audition taping service called 1805 Tapes, and he does these like beautiful self tapes that look like cinema. Like they're so well lit and they're so
Nice.
like dramatic. And I went in with him, and we did the scene, and we kind of played around with it. And it was like a fake scene. It was the character was named Andrew, but he was with somebody named like Theo or something like that.
Okay.
And so I did the audition, and it was all about like my character kind of trying to get back with Theo. And there was like this like unrequited love, and then Theo had moved on. And I was excited because I knew it was a gay character, like they had said in the breakdown that it was a gay role. And I was just excited to be able to play that
Yeah.
because that's how I identify in my real life.
Nice.
So it was exciting, but I also kind of at that point was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get, like I've auditioned so many times for so many things and gotten so close. And then I got a call. I was in the grocery store, and my agent called and was like, they want you, you're pinned. And
Nice.
it was just like one self tape. I sent in that one tape, and I got pinned like a week later. And then
Nice.
it was like a meeting with casting. They gave me some like some notes and some tips about like how soaps work and how fast everything films. And
Mhm.
then it was just kind of off to the races, and it's just been ever since.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
this train that doesn't stop, which I love.
Yeah, I absolutely love the long distance relationship scenes because it really resonated with my personal life because me and my partner met online, and
Mm,
we I was in Pennsylvania and he was in Baltimore. So we were like 3-ish hours apart. And my dad was battling brain cancer, so it was hard for me to kind of, leave that area as well to move
yeah.
with him. And it was like one of those stuck in the middle of a rock and a hard place type of things. And but it's my dad and he's battling brain cancer, and and I really want to find love too, like it was really drawing me. It was like very conflicting. So we did the long distance thing for about 8 months, and then I ended up getting a job interview down here with the US Coast Guard. And
Wow.
I ended up having an interview, and then I went to pick him up, and we went to Pennsylvania, like the halfway point. We stayed at a hotel just so we could spend the weekend together. And I got a call the next morning at like 6 a.m. It woke us up, and they offered me the job right when he's there with me. And I'm like, huh, I guess I'm moving to Baltimore. And I'm like, but I don't know how I'm going to tell my parents this, especially with my dad battling brain cancer. I don't want my mom to have to, do all that on her own. So I accepted the offer, but I talked to my dad about it. I'm like, Dad, if you don't really want me to take it, I know what you're going through. I know mom's going to need help. I'll be willing to help you. My dad said to me, he goes, if you don't take that job, he said, I will never speak to you again. He's
Oh,
like, he said, I know I'm battling this, but this is gonna set you for life working for the federal government. And I've been now with the company for 5 years. Me and my fiance now, we are living together. We bought a house and we'll celebrate 6 years in
wow.
August. So
That's congratulations. That's
thank you.
amazing. And
Yeah,
it's kind of, it speaks to like when you want something to happen in your life, you want change, you just sort of, you got to kind of put it
yeah,
out to the universe and just be like, all right, I'm ready for it. You got to
yeah,
search for it, you got to push for it, and then it's like the universal answer. And it's not always in
yeah,
the ways you imagine or you
right.
think, but like that's so amazing that your dad said that to you.
Yeah,
And what a beautiful, beautiful
yeah.
lesson. It's kind of like that. If you love something, let it go.
Yep,
And
absolutely. It
you could
was
see that
one
you
of the
needed
things I
that.
took away because he passed. It'll be 3 years in August as well that he passed away,
Mm,
this year. So it's tough. But he that's one thing I always think of is he always put me before himself, and he always did that with everybody. And it's just
that's such a
amazing.
beautiful,
Yeah,
yeah, so beautiful. I'm so sorry for your loss, but
thank you,
that's, I mean, I
thank you.
love that you can hold on to those, that
Absolutely.
positivity.
Yeah, so regarding the long distance scenes, how were you able to prepare to bring those stories to life? Because you have to portray it as, this is going to be a tough thing. Like I love this guy, but I work far, I work far away. So how were you able to bring that into your acting and like make it come to life and make it realistic?
I have some experience with long distance relationships, so I think, pulling from that in real life,
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing about Andrew is that he he balances, he's kind of always torn between duty and personal interest,
Hmm.
like similar to what your story was,
Yeah.
this, he has these personal things going on that he wishes that he could kind of dedicate his whole self to, but then at the same
Hmm.
time, he has dedicated his life to the ISA, and
Yeah.
so, and he's following in his father's footsteps. So there's kind of, that gives me something really easy to play in every scene because I'm sort of
Hmm.
torn in two, and I'm really appreciative that the writers sort of give me that. And even in episodes that haven't aired yet that I've filmed, there's some scenes where like I'm interacting with Andrew's interacting with other characters, and that sort of kind of overarching theme comes up for him of like, I want this, but I need to do this. And so just always kind of keeping that alive in every scene, and knowing that you can't show too many of your cards as like a secret agent. So
Absolutely. So I'm assuming you are returning then?
I am returning, yes.
Yeah.
I never know how much I can say or not say. I won't give any
Right.
spoilers, of course, but
Of course.
um Yeah, I think as fans know, Teresa's gotten herself into some hot water, and I think that her Boy Scout of a brother can maybe swoop in and give her some brotherly advice. So we will see. We will see what happens. But
Absolutely.
sooner than later, I can confirm sooner than later for sure.
Okay, awesome. And I know that the last time we have seen you, you were with Teresa, played by Emily O'Brien, amazingly. Love her.
Yeah.
Love Emily O'Brien. She's so great. She could play Teresa, she could play Gwen, and she could just bring it. She's so great. And you were there and you confronted her. So I'm assuming we're gonna see how that kind of plays out now, especially because what aired today, Constantine was killed. He had Teresa, you know, he had her hostage. He was trying to kill her, and he got shot by Xander. So now her secret's safe. But really, like, in Salem, I don't think secrets really are all that safe. So I can't wait to see where you now fit into this mix and where you kind of come in here to swoop, kind of save her, because it's gonna be juicy. I can tell. I can't wait.
Yeah, there's in true Teresa fashion, she doesn't let sleeping dogs lie for too long. So
Yeah.
there will be stuff to continue cleaning up with her. Let's just say that.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm gonna kind of go into your creative juices a little bit. So say that you could, like, we know you're coming back. So outside of the Teresa storyline, you could devise any story as juicy, as dramatic as anything for Andrew Donovan to be thrown into. What would you choose?
Actually, I've talked about this with some of my co-stars. Because Andrew is so like just tied up with a bow, and he's the good boy, and he's following his dad's footsteps, and he always rescues his sisters and all that stuff. I would love to see him royally mess up. And I had a episode where I was kidnapped, which kind of mirrored an episode from when I was a baby that I was kidnapped, um, and used as collateral for a character to get freed, Megan Hathaway.
Mhm.
And I would love to see more of that. I would love to see more action, more adventure with him.
Yeah,
I would love to see Andrew make some like serious personal mistakes and then have
yeah,
to sort of like pay the Pied Piper. Um, yeah, I would like him to step into his sister's shoes a little bit and like cause
that
some
would be
cause some
cool.
chaos. Yeah,
That would be cool.
because
And I mean, if you think about it, you're like the, I guess you could say, the good sibling, because you have Teresa, and if I'm not mistaken, you have Eve.
yeah,
So, and they're both bad girls.
they
So
are.
we need to
It's a
have the third sibling. We need to have some chaos with him as well.
Yes, I would love to. I would love, and I'd like Dad to come have to, clean it all up, or maybe
Mhm.
even Christopher to come to my rescue, or
Yeah,
Paul on the show. But yeah, I would love for him to be a little naughty, because it's more fun as an actor to play like villains or mischievous people anyway. So I was
yeah,
like, oh, if he could like, maybe cause some chaos, that'd be fun.
yeah. I would love that. Have you watched Days prior to becoming Andrew?
Um, it's funny because it's always sort of been a staple it's a staple in so many people's lives. And I think that's
Hmm.
what the show does so well and has since the beginning. It's like it's at the center of it, it's about families, it's about family dramas,
Hmm.
families coming together, taking care of each other. And I think that, I mean, for me, I know that it was always on in the background at home, or you're homesick from school, it was on
Hmm.
the TV. I never followed it closely, but I had some family members who would watch it. And the name Days of Our Lives, and like even just the opening title sequence with the hourglass, it's so
Hmm.
iconic.
Yeah.
And so I knew what I was stepping into when I stepped into it. I was like, this is massive, and this is going to be
Mhm.
such a life altering experience for me. And so I was incredibly grateful and continue to be. um, and when they brought me on to the mothership show, I didn't know if I was going to make that leap from Beyond Salem to the mothership, and they did. I was just even more thrilled. So yeah, I was familiar, but I didn't watch per se. I
Okay.
wasn't an avid watcher. But now it's funny because I just like to watch my friends. I like to watch my friends
Right.
work. So I'll
Yeah.
like tune in every now and then. Like Elia Cantu, um, I love her as a human being, and I'll just like um click it on sometimes and just,
Yeah,
see my friends work.
absolutely. That's great. I remember I think it was 95. I was young, school age, probably elementary school age. And I know I was home because it was probably one of my times that I faked being sick so I didn't have to go into school. I think all kids
Yeah.
did that. And my mom loved Days, and I walked down and I saw her watching it, and the first thing I see, and you know me, slasher Scotty horror fan, first thing I see
Yeah.
is Marlena turning into a panther. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and immediately thought Exorcist vibes when I was starting to follow it, but like because she was levitating and the demonic voice and all that, and I told my mom like when I watched it with her, and my mom was like, "You like this?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is actually pretty cool." So back when VHS tapes were relevant, I remember they would put in the VHS tape in the VHS player, and my dad would tape it for me, and my mom would not watch it until I got home. We'd watch it together, and I'd watch it ever since. And oh my God, so many storylines that were crazy that I watched. I mean, embryos being stolen out of pregnant women and yeah, like yeah, but it's drama and it's just so great. And I mean, I guess and the one thing I always tell everybody is how many times that Stefano Demera was the reason why my family was so stressed out that for that hour. Like he
Yeah.
was the reason why they would be stressed out for an hour a day and the high blood pressure.
It is so funny. And like there's kind of a joke on set,
Mhm,
if we're like reading a scene or something. Actually, this was Deirdre Hall recently. I was talking to her about this because
mhm.
there was something in the script and it was something dramatic happening to her character. And she's like, "Oh, I've already had this happen to me." And we're like, "Oh yeah, because you've been on the show for so long." And it's like, of course you've been kidnapped and you've
Yeah.
been brain transplanted and you've been possessed and you've been different personalities. And it's so funny how it's kind of a yearbook of like
Mhm.
just chaos.
Right. So
Yeah.
out of like, and I mean, I'm not talking about anybody that aired. Now, you could have worked with them currently that hasn't aired. You don't have to say that. But who would you like to work with the most?
That's a good question. Anytime I'm in the room with Drake Hoguston or Deirdre Hall, I'm like on my
Mhm.
best behavior because they're just such pros.
Yeah.
Um, and that goes with everybody who's just been on the show
Mhm,
for an extended period of time. Like it's just you watch them work and you're just in awe of their talent and their ability
mhm,
because they can just like look at the sides and be like, all right, da 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 da, okay, let's go. And then they're on it, and like the level of emotion that some of them have like behind their eyes that you don't even get to see on your
yeah.
screens in every single scene, they bring it. And it's like 10 out of 10. And it just is so inspiring as an actor to get that,
Mhm.
because we work so quick. But I would say maybe Aaliyah would be awesome to work with.
Okay.
Because she's just a ball of energy and
Yeah.
just light. Like she's nothing like her character
All
in the
right.
way where like her character is so on the straight and narrow. And maybe I really like Carson Boatman as well, Johnny.
Nice.
He's such a sweet guy.
He
And
is.
yeah, I've really gotten to work with kind of everybody in some way
Nice.
or another. Maggie Rogers is a legend as well.
Hmm.
Um, oh, uh, 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 Jackie,
What was that?
Jackie. I would
Yes.
love to work with Jackie.
Oh, absolutely. She is a legend.
She's a
She is an
legend, and
absolute legend.
I see her all the time when I get to be on set. I get to see her like she's around, but I never have scenes with her, and so I think that would just be
Yes.
a bucket list moment for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, I had Carson on the show, and it's funny because I had him on the show before he aired, but we were actually promoting him coming onto the show. I think he was debuting in July, like mid July or late July, and I had him on like early July, late June,
Mm.
which is really cool. He was a really great guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just so sweet, so down to earth.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean everybody is on the show. There's no bad eggs in my opinion. So
absolutely.
yeah.
So Let me see. I'm trying to see what other questions I have written before we wrap things up. So yeah, I guess one last question before we wrap things up, and then I'll have you promote whatever you got going on as well. Is how how do you, I guess, prepare, like, because I know they're like long days, and you probably sometimes you film 2 3 episodes in one day. So how do you properly memorize all of those scripts? Like, I'm sure, because I know it could be a tight ship, right?
Yeah, it's like you so you don't really get a lot of time to mess around on set. They move so quick, and sometimes they'll even tape rehearsals.
Yeah.
So the way it works, I'm sure you know this, but for your listeners, like you get in the morning and or whenever your call time is, you do what's called a dry block, which basically you get to walk the scene with the director on set.
Hmm.
And then they sort of say, okay, Andrew's going to start here. He walks across the room. He says this line. He goes back, blah, blah, blah. And then you go get hair and makeup done, wardrobe, and you kind of wait until you're called up. And
Right.
then when you get on set and it's your time, you get one rehearsal for cameras and sound just so they can kind of block everything out, make sure it's all good, and then you tape it. So it's
Right.
unless you royally mess up the line, they pretty much use just one take. And as far as preparation for that, it's funny because it's you just have to it's a muscle you have to work. And if you like, there's
Yeah.
been stretches of months where I haven't been working as an actor, and um in those months I sort of have to like, I'll just have to pick out a play or something from my
Hmm.
bookshelf and just be like, I'll have to go through and just memorize a scene just to kind of keep that muscle going. And I
Yeah.
have one trick for anyone who ever needs to memorize anything, and it's writing the first letter of each word of a sentence. So if it's like, hi Scotty, how are you, I would write HSHAY.
Oh, nice.
And so I'd write that out and I would leave all the punctuation the same as it's written in the script. And then I just kind of write that out. And it's I don't know why my brain picks it up like this, but it's just I will eventually learn it. I'll do it 3 or 4 times and it'll sort of be in my
Wow,
head.
that's amazing.
So if you ever need to memorize a script or a speech or anything, that's my tip.
Nice, absolutely. And also, I thought of another thing. I know you said that we'll be seeing you sooner than later. I
Mhm.
don't know if you're allowed to say this or not, but are you currently still filming?
Currently, no, I'm sat in my kitchen.
That is true. Good point. Good point. I like that.
Yeah, no, I I got the dip. Well, I think it's a little bit of a spoiler because somebody on set posted something with me in it the other
Okay.
day, but I did just film recently.
Okay.
Um and yeah, and I think that there's definitely going to be more. I know that for
Perfect.
sure. In the future, there's going to be we're opening up some storylines that have a lot of potential. So
Absolutely. And before I let you start promoting anything else that you have to promote, I just want to let you know if you and Paul end up getting married, make sure you do it out of Salem. Okay.
yeah, like the least dramatic place possible. We'll have
Right,
to,
exactly. All right,
yeah.
so last question. Anything, this is all about you, anything you want to promote, social media, any projects you're able to talk about, websites, anything at all, this is your shot time.
If you want to give me a follow on socials, I'm Little Colton, just like it's spelled, LittleColton on
Awesome.
Instagram. Mr. Colton Little on Twitter. I refuse to call it X.
Same.
And okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, and I just as far as projects, I did VHS 85 for Shutter.
Nice.
That kind of was buried within the strikes last year. So
Okay.
I have a small part in that. And actually, it's kind of related to soaps, but I got to work with David Bruckner, who's a pretty prolific
Nice.
horror director.
That's
And
awesome.
he's so cool. And I got to do that. And then, yeah, as far as what I'm working on, though, I have a short called Phases on
Mhm.
YouTube, and anyone can look it up, Colton
Okay.
Little Phases. And it's just like a three and a bit minute short that I wrote and directed and starred in and produced kind of during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I am actually developing it into a feature.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so and it's a werewolf short, and I love werewolves. They've always
Love
been my
werewolves.
favorite monster, and I think that they, for me, relate to the gay experience a lot.
Nice.
This kind of hidden. A lot of gay people grow up being half hidden,
Yeah.
and so I've always sort of related to that theme, and
Nice.
so I'm exploring that and exploring themes of like loss and family in the future, which is really, really
Absolutely.
beautiful. So
Absolutely. So definitely stay in touch, and I can have you back on to promote that when that is out, or when you're ready to promote that. Just message me and let me know. I'll be more than happy to get that word out there. And I mean, a lot of my fans, are horror fans, so I mean, that'll be something that they would relate to. I think that'll be great, and I love werewolves as well, so that'll be such a treat for me to talk about with you. So I would love to do that.
I could talk werewolves all day with you, Scotty. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm so glad. This was a lot of fun. I thank you so much. When you were mentioning Jackie Harry, my fiance's mom, well, I guess she came over and she was yelling down, like kind of distracted me. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm
Oh,
like,
that's what it was. That's funny.
yeah, so she was like, "Hey, Scotty,"
Oh,
and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm getting out of I was getting I was trying not to lose my train of thought of where I was going with that." But yes, thank you so much. It was really an honor. I can't wait to see you back on my screens again. This is gonna be so great to see where your story with Teresa and any other stories that open up go. I think it's gonna be awesome. So anybody that's watching this, subscribe to Colton. And definitely keep in touch and we'll do this again.
great. Thank you so much, Scotty. I
Awesome.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Have a good rest of your night.
You too. Take
All right.
care.
Yep. Bye.